Thank you for joining us. It is 7 o'clock and the board has been in closed session since 5:45. I appreciate you being here on this cold evening. I'm calling the board meeting back in session. And the first thing we will do is any announcement of closed session item. The clerk read.
Expungement. The Board of Education approves the request to expunge the expulsion record for student case number 23-24-007 as presented in the November 14, 2023 Governing Board packet. All expulsion records will be removed from the student's cumulative file.
The vote was 4-2. The vote was 4-2.
The vote in favor was 4-2.
Thank you. There are no other announcements, so Dr. Fawcett, if you could introduce our flag salute.
My pleasure, President Martin. So I would like to invite up Caden and Charlotte, and I'm going to read a nice statement that your principal wrote about you, so you can go ahead and come up here to the front. And when you're done, don't leave, because we have a little prize for you that President Martin's going to give you when you're done leading us in the pledge. So Caden exemplifies the values of kindness, respect, and leadership in every class he does. Whether in the classroom or the playground, he makes everyone feel included, especially when they're playing sports. He gives his best effort in all that he takes on, and he approaches every challenge with a positive attitude. Beyond that, Caden is always ready to lend a hand. If he sees a need or someone who could use some assistance, he steps right in without hesitation. He's thoughtful and selfless in nature, and it makes him a role model for his peers. We are so grateful to have Caden as part of our school community. Let's give Caden a big round of applause. And now Charlotte is known for her positivity and willingness to help in any situation and ability to collaborate with her peers. She consistently steps up and supports others, whether in the classroom, on the playground, or during school activities. She goes above and beyond by taking on additional responsibilities, including helping our youngest students and assisting with noon activities. Her kindness, her leadership, and her dedication make a meaningful impact on our school community, and we're so grateful for all that she does. So let's give Charlotte a big round of applause. And now the mic is yours.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stay right there, Charlotte and Katie, stay right there. Well, you're really lucky you got to do it this month, because I have more than one present. First off, I have our Mr. Star pin.
Thank you.
That pin is something special for. And then one of our trustees got you treats, because she's of Vietnamese heritage. Celebrates the year of the Chinese New Year. Both of you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to communications, item of interest from the board. Would anyone from the board like to share any topics or whereabouts lately?
And just say this class must have an incredible teacher. He's out there.
Oh, okay. Anyone else? I'll just say that Trustee Kendall and I last Friday went to the opening ceremonies of a new apprenticeship training center with the plumbers and pipe fitters. There was rooms full of laborers, people who are high up in the union, and then in walked all the electeds, the mayors, the city council, the school board members, all women, all women. The room was filled with men until the electeds walked in, and it was all women. But it was such a great sight because now more than ever, we still want to send our kids to college, those that want to go to college, but those that want to work with their hands or those that want to earn a good living and stay right here in town, the apprenticeship programs at the IBEW, the plumbers and pipe fitters, the cement masons, they have wonderful programs where they pay students to learn, they give them benefits to learn, and eventually they'll take their licensing and become a full-fledged journeyman. It's really quite an incredible process, and you can see by talking to all of the very successful union members there that they have made a nice living for themselves in the Central Coast, and there's tons of work that they're looking for people. So that was a nice event. Anything else from anyone? Okay, I'm going to open it up to the superintendent's report then.
Thank you, President Martin. I just have a short one this evening. We just came back last week from our three-week winter break, and I'm glad that everybody returned. Staff welcomed all the students with open arms, and we were off and running and ready to go. 19 schools, a lot of school buses, and a lot of staff making for a very great week back from winter break. Over winter break, we did provide meals and some services and clothes and backpacks and all kinds of things to our families who were in need, and Wendy Bruce and her team through the FIT program did an outstanding job making sure that everybody had special gifts to give families within our communities. So that was wonderful too. And we're looking forward to all the booster dinners that are coming up and all the activities that we have on our calendar to kick off the second half of the school year. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Hard to believe we're already in the second semester. Crazy.
I'm bye.
All right, before we go to our consent calendar, I'm going to read some introductory comments. First off, if you'd like to comment, we have cards in the foyer. They're both yellow and blue to turn in to submit for public comment. If anyone in the room would like an interpreter, English, Spanish, Elsa Hernandez. Elsa, if you could raise your hand. The laptop just covered you completely. Elsa's back there, and she's more than happy to assist anyone who would like that kind of interpreting. And then also, if you'll see in our written agenda, which is out in the foyer, is the last pages of our printed agenda. Our decorum standards are stated. And then we have a security team outside, and we're very grateful for them. Guidance about public comment. Public comments are an opportunity for members of the community to address the Board of Trustees in the meeting of the school board that is open to the public. Members of the public are encouraged to address the board concerning any item on the agenda or any item of interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Public comments are limited to at most 3 minutes and no more than 20 minutes total for one subject matter, under the discretion of the presiding officer. The board will not take any action or have any discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda, except as authorized by law. This is why the board does not respond during the public comment section of our agenda. It is important to recognize that opinions and comments shared here are those of the individual speakers and may not represent the views of our district, the board, or our staff. Lucia Mar is committed to fostering an inclusive, welcoming, and safe environment at our meetings and schools. We respect everyone's right to express their ideas and opinions. All remarks must be free from personal attacks, particularly those based on legally protected categories such as race, religion, disability, or sexual orientation. Our district is dedicated to serving and nurturing all our students, guiding them to become responsible, ethical, and productive members of society. To honor this mission, please make sure your comments avoid profanity, demonstrate tolerance towards differing viewpoints, and exhibit exemplary conduct. Our students are watching and learning from us. Please be aware that any disturbance or intentional interruption of the meeting is not permissible. In accordance with recently enacted law, excessive disruption by any individual or group will result in the board president revoking the individual or group's privilege to address the board. Disruptive participants may be warned and, if necessary, removed from the meeting. We value your participation in the public meeting of the Board of Education and thank you for your cooperation in maintaining the efficiency, effectiveness, and civility of the CMR. And I read that every time because we never know what might be on the news at 3 o'clock and we could have a big crowd here that's very angry. So we just want to make sure we're all safe. We're going to move on to the consent calendar. That's items number 1 through 10. These are items that are typically routine in nature and can be approved with one motion and 1 second. Does anyone have any items they want to pull or have questions about? Ms. Santos?
Yes, I'd like to pull item 7, please.
7. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Mr. Fuller?
I'd like to pull 3, and I wanted to comment on 7 also.
Okay, you can comment at the comment time on 7. We'll do both, okay? Did you want to pull 3 because you wanted to comment on it or because you wanted to have a separate vote of it?
Not a separate vote, more comment.
Okay, great. All right, so we're going to move to let's do item 7 first, okay? Did you have questions for staff on item number 7?
The reason I'd like to pull item 7 is that many times you're asked out there to become part of what's happening in our district. And this is one way. It's for appointment of new members to the Independent Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. And to me, this is a very important committee. We just passed a bond, and this is an opportunity for citizens out there, whether you voted for the bond or you didn't, to tell us what we have. In doing so, I hope that you've had the opportunity to see what's happened with the last bond, see the improvements that are happening out in the schools, see what the child is enjoying because of the bond that was passed. We don't spend that money without input from everybody on this board and other groups. So it's your opportunity to, since we just passed a new bond of things that we didn't finish in the last round, what we're going to be doing with this round. So I congratulate the people who have applied, and we need your input. We want to know exactly what your students and what your child is going to be enjoying because the citizens of this community voted for this bond to pass.
Ms. Santos, I do want to just clarify for a minute. Item number 7 is actually appointing members to the Measure I committee, the committee that's almost coming to a close.
Right.
There'll be a new Citizens Bond Oversight Committee for Measure H, the bond we just passed. So you didn't really want to vote separately on that, or did you?
No, I just wanted to make a statement.
Okay, great. So I'm going to come back. I know you have some comments. So let's open this up to public comment for the whole consent calendar action item, items 1 through 10. If anyone in the audience would like to make public comment on the consent calendar action items, items 1 through 10, please come forward. Seeing no movement in the audience, I'm going to close it to public comment and bring it back to the board for comments on any of these items. Mr. Fuller, you said you had some comments.
Yeah, I'll start with 7.
Okay.
As Ms. Santos commented on. I want to take the perspective. I want to thank our community that we got some good applicants for this oversight committee, and we do really need the public input. I don't know if I know a couple of them on there. Gary Adams, who's got like 50 years, he is over there, 50 years experience doing very large projects, multi-million-dollar hospital constructions and stuff. So I really want to thank people with that kind of experience for stepping up, and I think we're going to benefit from a few of your expertise and knowledge. So I'm looking forward to working with you. On item number 3, I just wanted to make a quick comment. This is an approval or accepting miscellaneous donations, although I don't know what the norm is, how much of this usually comes in. But I come from a financial planning background. I'm kind of new on the board, like real new. And it's an area I want to focus on over my time in here more and more because I think it's a underutilized source of potential revenue. And as I get my feet on the ground here, I'll give more input. But I think there's there's money out there, and a lot of people, if they know what can be done and what the needs are, that it'll benefit all of us. So I just want to comment that's an area I will spend time talking about from time to time. And so,
Would anyone else like to make comments on any of the items 1 through 10? Ms. Navy,
Thank you. So coming from a produce background,
what item are you looking at?
in regards to agenda item number 3, in piggybacking with Trustee Fuller, Cobera Memorial Fund for $30,000 is very, very generous.
That's a
So
scholarship.
generous, and I'd like to know if we send out thank yous, letters in regards to. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's why they're in the board packet, and then the site also send the thank you note. Well, I too had noticed number 3, and wanted to make comment on that because there was $78,000 donated to Aurora Gurney High School collectively. Some of them were small as $35 that they've given through their employers, all the way up to the $30,000. So there was all over the place, but there was some really generous. A lot of these are part of their scholarship program at the school, but it is a very we couldn't do all the extras we do without the people, the gracious people in our community.
Totally agree.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve consent calendar action item 1 through 10.
I make a motion that we accept the consent calendar items 1 through 10.
Second. It's been moved by Santos, second by Kendall. Roll call vote, please.
Santos,
Yes.
Kendall,
Yes.
Baum,
Yes.
Naomi Bernier,
Yes.
Fuller,
yes.
Martin.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Okay, item number 11. This is the fun part. The school site presentation from Branch School. And I can see the principal beaming. She's so young. She looks like she's one of the students out there. Come on up and bring your team if you want to and share with us. Oh, did Dr. Fawcett want to introduce you?
You just took my introduction, President Martin. Jeez. So I'd like to introduce Principal Whitney Whitney. She's here with the branch team. What a great turnout they have, and she's going to present on all the wonderful things that are happening in Branch Elementary School. Let's give her a warm welcome.
All right, good evening. And thank you so much for the honor of inviting Branch Elementary to speak tonight. It's a privilege to share our ongoing achievements and the extraordinary individuals who make it all possible. We are proud to highlight the continued success in our student council and the remarkable contributions of our parents and the community members, our teachers and our staff and their dedication, our students and their exceptional academic achievements. These achievements align with and advance our school's mission to ensure all students learn at high levels. To start us off, please welcome our student council.
What's your favorite thing about Branch?
My favorite thing is learning. My favorite thing about Branch is that all the teachers are really nice. I like hanging out with friends and reading. It's a good school and that we get to learn about everything. Miss Whitney. That we get to have recess. Probably getting to be able to hang out with my friends. My favorite thing about Branch is how everybody's kind.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm in 5th grade and I'm a part of our school's student council. Our classmates vote on who they think should be a student representative. We serve for half the year and we do many things to make our campus better. And here are some of the things we do in student council.
Hello, my name is Quinny Ketta. This is my first year in student council. I'm in 4th grade at Branch Elementary. Something great we do at Branch is we hand out red apples to kids for being safe, being respectful, and being responsible.
Hello, my name is Charlotte Martinez. I'm in 6th grade at Branch Elementary, and I've been on student council for 3 years. Another fun thing we do at Branch Elementary is once every class settles into their classroom, one of our student council representatives will go up to our office and say our morning announcements. Our morning announcements include a fun fact about our national day and our school's lunch menu. Adding on, we have National Granola Bar Day today.
Hello, my name is Caden Jackson, a sixth grader at Branch Elementary. I have served 3 terms in student council. One of our jobs as student council is brainstorming and voting on different noon activities for students to play during recess.
I'm George Gresser, a 5th grader. This is my first term as a council member. One of the responsibilities we have with noon activities is to include everybody, give them a chance to sign up, and create balanced teams.
Hi, my name is Kiera Schmidt. I'm a 4th grader at Branch Elementary, and it's my first time in student council. In student council, we'll make important announcements in classrooms for things like school-wide events. Students can listen to important and valuable information from elected representatives.
Good evening. My name is Emerson Samuel, and I'm in 5th grade. This is my 2nd year in student council. One thing our student council members do is asking our classmates what they like about school and their concerns. After listening, we try our best to fix their concerns. For example, if somebody said we needed more basketballs at recess, we try to order more basketball.
Hi, my name is Emma. I'm in 4th grade, and this is my first term on the student council. As a student council representative, we choose fun Spirit Week themes that everyone enjoys. We make them, or our Spirit Days are silly, and we make them very unique. For example, we've had Pajama Day, Ugly Sweater Day, and even some sports days. That is one last thing we do on the student council. Thank you.
Oh, excellent.
Student council. One of the next highlights of our school at Branch Elementary. Hold on, let me navigate this.
What's your favorite thing about Branch?
My favorite thing is learning.
Pause. Excuse me. Okay, is our community involvement. Our parent-teacher organization plays a critical role in making our school's mission a reality. They are not volunteers or only volunteers, but they are the pillar of our school's community. The PTO's commitment to supporting our students extends far beyond organizing events. From assisting teachers in the classrooms to providing educational resources and making financial contributions that support our intervention efforts, their daily impact strengthens the foundation of our educational environment. Equally impressive is the work of our Grandparents Club, whose presence and dedication enrich Branch Elementary in profound ways. Their wisdom and guidance, combined with their hands-on involvement in classrooms, fosters a unique and meaningful connection for our students. They inspire curiosity and create a sense of belonging that enhances the educational journey for all students. The spirit of collaboration and commitment extends far beyond just being our school. We also took a time to recognize Gold Day, which is childhood cancer awareness. And our students, or our commitment was to raise $200. And the generosity of our families and community allowed us to collect an incredible $1,800. And this success underscores the power of the shared purpose and the deep care of our community has for Branch. That same spirit was evident during a recent fire relief effort that we took on. When faced with a crisis, our parents, our grandparents, our teachers, and our neighbors, they all come together to support with compassion for those in need. These moments remind us that our school is not only a place for learning, but it's a hub for resilience and hope. And none of this would be possible without our incredible teaching staff. Their dedication to collaboration and innovation is what makes us unique. Our teaching teams work tirelessly to unpack grade level standards, analyze student data, and develop strategies tailored to meet the needs of every learner. Through shared goals that come from our iReady math and our district-wide assessments, they ensure that their efforts remain focused and aligned. Their ability to leverage each other's strengths creates a culture of mutual support and drives our success. Tonight, I am proud to be part of Branch and tell you all that we are thriving. Our achievements we're celebrating tonight is a testament not only to the incredible work of our educators, but also to the collective efforts of our families, of our volunteers, and of our community members. Their dedication strengthens the foundation of our school and ensures a bright future for all students. Thank you for this opportunity to reflect on our accomplishments and for the continued support that you show us for our school's mission to ensure that all students learn at high levels. Together, we're making a lasting impact on our students, our school, and our community. So thank you and good night.
Does anyone from the board have questions for Principal Whitney Whitney? Any questions? No? This is a report only. Does anyone from the audience like to provide public comment on this report? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to public comment, bring back to the board. Would anyone on the board like to make a comment to Principal Whitney Whitney? Ms. Mimi,
I appreciate the excitement that you bring and the support. Great to see. I applaud you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
You should be very proud. Very proud.
Thank you.
As a branch parent myself, this is Peach. All right, well, great. I don't know how anyone can argue. You're so wise. Bring up the student council. All of them so great, and I'm sure there's so many fun activities at Branch, and with those grandmas who are all my friends, I know that things are just working well for you, and I'm happy to see it.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to address the kids. What's in that envelope is real. Okay?
Yeah.
You might not have seen one, but it is real.
All right. Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Done. Okay, good night.
We're going to give you a second in case anyone wants to slink out of here without saying they want to continue with the rest of the meeting. There might be some homework or baths that need to be taken. I don't know. And the whole school came. All right. That was item number 11. So we're moving on to item number 12. Report approval 2023-2024 school accountability report cards, commonly known as the SARC. Ms. Dixon, would you like to introduce this for us?
I'm happy to offer this report to you. Thank you, President Martin. This is the time of year where the board annually reviews and hopefully approves the school accountability report cards. Since November 1988, state law has required that all public schools complete the SARC. The purpose of the SARC is to show the public a lot of important details about each school, and it can be an effective way for the school to report on its progress from year to year. It has a variety of data in it that the board has already reviewed, including demographics, school safety, academics, school completion, class size, a variety of other things. The SARC is a collective effort from a variety of people from each school. Of course, it starts with the principals reviewing their information, updating as necessary. The curriculum department orchestrates behind the scenes to ensure that it all comes together. I also want to say thank you to Rhonda Siebert in the business office and Courtney Rodriguez in HR and Mike Dixon and Lorena Castaneda in the facilities department for doing their parts as well. And so what you have before you tonight is a variety of information about each of our wonderful schools that has been reviewed and updated by all of those parties. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about the SARCs.
Does anyone on the board have any clarifying questions for Ms. Dixon? Ms. Pham?
Thank you for the report. I was kind of perusing through and reading, and I I have a little concern in regards to the girls and boys and the passing of the assessment, where our boys are kind of behind, and I'm curious how we can engage our boys to re-engage back in. There's quite a bit of disparity between girls and boys right now, and boys are like almost 20% behind in the scores here, so that's a big concern. How do we help them?
That's a great question. Thank you, Trustee Pham. We do a lot of work reviewing all sorts of data at each of our schools, and each of our schools has a slightly different picture, although you're correct that overall we do see higher performance from our female students at this time in general, although not the case at every single one of our schools. So what our principals do with support of the district office is review CASP data, local data, district writing assessment data, that's all still yet to come in this school year, and analyze based on a variety of different demographic details. Gender is one of them, all sorts of other ways that we look at the data to see which students are needing the most help, and then we work to target interventions for those students. This is not to say that we necessarily have a boys group in, a reading group just for boys sort of situation. What we typically do, will set up a reading group or a mathematics intervention group that's based on need, not just gender, but it's something that we have really been working hard on with our principals in particular, and they with their school leadership teams over the last couple years, to dive deeply into the data to see what stories the data is telling us, to make sure that we focus our efforts as needed on each individual student. So it's an interesting data point, one that deserves our attention, and one that we're certainly paying good attention to and working to hopefully close that gap over the coming years. I hope that you'll see some improvements in SARCs in the future.
Sounds good.
Any other questions regarding the SARCs? Ms. Kendall.
Yeah, I also had some observations. So one thing that jumped out to me is at New Tech, it's a specialized program. It's our most expensive program that's in terms of expenditure per pupil. But there's really big disparity in enrollment between male and female students.
Saw that too.
And it's about approximately 60-40. So I'm wondering, this is kind of a hypothetical question, but what things can we do to bring girls into that program? And part of where this comes from is, as a math teacher, when I was in high school, I didn't have any female teachers, and I became a math teacher partly because I wanted to be that role model, encouraging kids to get into STEM fields. And the year that I graduated from Cal Poly with a math degree was the first year that the undergrad and grad had more female than male graduates. And so at the secondary, at the college level, we see a big change in a generation or two in the amount of women. So I'm just curious about whether that disparity is across the board with the New Tech Network, or if that's something that's particular with our school, and is there maybe some of the pathways that we have could be expanded to have programs that would appeal to more girls. And we know that we are not at full enrollment at New Tech. So my challenge, I guess, is to figure out, let's get the girls over there too.
It's a great challenge, Trustee Kendall. Thank you. I can't answer the question about if it's a typical pattern in the New Tech Network, but we can look into that and bring that back. That's a good question to ask. It would be interesting to look into the pathways that are existing there, which are highly successful. And one of the pathways is taught by an incredible, gifted female educator, Jennifer Rushing. The other one's also gifted educator, Robert Oliver. I think those are the two main pathway teachers. And so we have sort of equal representation in the pathway teachers in terms of their genders. But one of the things that the school works really hard to do with their recruitment process is to bring a variety of types of students in every recruiting opportunity. So there are always male and female students that are there to speak to prospective incoming students, both within our own middle schools and those that come to us outside of our area, because New Tech is a big draw from especially students that come from the Santa Maria area as well. And so continuing to examine those opportunities and what's appealing to those students, and maybe taking some data from the students that choose to say yes to New Tech, and perhaps those there may be a way to take data for those that choose to go to Nipomo or AG, their regular home school as well, to see what is most appealing and examine that as efforts for the future. I appreciate the thought. It is an interesting thing to note as well.
Any other questions? Ms. Naomi Renee.
Thank you. In regards to parent engagement, what are we doing different, and what have we learned, and what have we added to have more parent engagement for student success?
So each school has their own variations on a theme. You heard some great examples from Branch tonight, which is lucky to have an extraordinarily strong and involved parent-teacher organization. Some of our other schools also have that same benefit, not all of them though. As a district, which I can speak to most directly because each school is a little different, we do a lot of outreach in terms of our communication. We are preparing to do some additional surveying, which we do in the spring as we get ready for the local control accountability plan to take that into account. And we also have parent committees like the LCAP parent committee that has representatives from each of our schools on that committee, which has been better attended this year than we've had in the past few years, which has been nice to see. And our district English Learner Advisory Committee also has parents and staff members who attend there. It's always an area that we're looking to expand in more than we have in the year before. And we can definitely learn from some of our schools that have had great success and see how we can bring those things to other schools that are still looking for additional ways. So there's lots of wonderful opportunities that we can certainly bring more details to you from a variety of the other schools if you're interested, but our school teams in particular are working very hard to make inclusive, welcoming, and open spaces for all of our families to have many ways for them to get involved.
Great, thank you.
Looks like I'm about to open it up to public comment from our audience. Would anyone in the audience like to make public comment on this item, item number 12, the school accountability report cards? Seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to the board for comment. Anyone from the board like to make a comment on this item? I'm going to make a couple comments, Ms. Dixon. I did notice the New Tech discrepancy, boy-girl. Sometimes as a college and career counselor, the universities that have tech in their name, like Georgia Tech, Cal Poly, Polytechnic, they tend to have a more even male-female ratio in them, where most liberal arts colleges is like 64% female, 36. So I wouldn't be surprised if just having tech in the name at New Tech could sway more males to that school. I might be wrong, but it's just one of those things I see. One of the things I want to make comment with Ms. Naomi Renier on, the Nipomo High School section has a huge section on their family connections and all the family engagement that they do, which is awesome. And these school accountability report cards are posted on our website, so anyone from the public can at any time can go see them. I really like that Aurora Grande High School mission statement and all the clear, concise language they use on that, because I really like to look at the school description, the mission statements. I like to look at the populations, and just an overglossing of seeing trends and things that are going on at all the schools. So those are just my kind of comments. But I did notice that our females are achieving higher than our males. That's been going on for about 10, 15 years now, the boy crisis. And personal views, it's attached to video games, but I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be right. It was just, you could see it on every school that the girls were outpacing the boys. It used to be for maturity, but so many families keep their boys behind, and have them enter kindergarten a little bit older, so that it can't be about the chronological age, really. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, I'm willing to take a motion. We do need to approve these. The 2023-2024 School Accountability Report Card. No, it's a 24-25. Sorry.
I move to approve 23-24 School Accountability Report Card.
The 24-25, actually.
It actually is the 23-24, to be clear. Sorry, President Martin. They are written in the 24-25 school year, and they are written for the year before, which is always an interesting
Just
note.
a little, we have, because these are the 23-24, so there's two different numbers on things.
Okay, thank you. We will
So we
correct
will
that
go
for
with the
next time.
23-24 as written in the agenda. So it's been moved by Ms. Naomi Renier to approve the 23-24 School Accountability Report Cards. I'm looking for a second. Second. It's been moved by Ms. Naomi Renier, second by Ms. Pham. Roll call vote, please.
Naomi Vernier,
Yes.
Plum,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Kendall,
Yes.
Santos,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you. We're moving on to item number 13, report Golden State Pathways Program grants. Ms. Dixon.
Thank you, President Martin. This is just a really good news report that we're happy to share with you tonight. The Golden State Pathways Program is a grant opportunity that the state put out, and we were working on these grants last spring to promote career pathways in high-wage, high-skill, and high-growth sectors such as technology, healthcare, education, and climate-related fields. So there were a specific set of fields that we could potentially apply for that would impact the existing pathways that we have within our high schools. The goal of the grants is to help students transition smoothly from high school into college and career, and to try to improve the pathways that we already have. With me tonight is our CTE coordinator, Kristen Anderson, who's here if you have any questions. And I have to say that it was a lucky day when we hired Kristen Anderson into our department, because not only does she do a fine job leading the CTE program, but she's also turned into quite the grant writer. And so with Kristen's excellent writing and support from the teachers in the pathways in particular that are affected here, we are very proud to share that we have over $2.1 million awarded to be using in the pathways that are listed here over the next 5 years. At Arroyo Grande High School, these will be in the Agriculture and Natural Resources Pathway, Patient Care, and Systems Diagnostic Service and Repair. That's our auto program. At Central Coast New Tech, it's Software Systems and Development. At Napomo High School, it's our Education Pathway and our Patient Care Pathway. So our next steps with the Golden State Pathway Program will include more meetings with our site administration and the teachers in these pathways to ensure that the grants that we wrote are exactly what we want to do, and we're purchasing the right materials and investing in the right way. And we'll be very pleased to bring updates to the board as we move through these projects. But it's been, I will say, a very long road to get the actual grant award notifications from the state. They gave us sort of 3 different updates and pulled back 2 times, which is something that was very unusual that we haven't seen before, but we've been patient, and we've also been prudent and not spending the money before we actually had it, which is not the case with other districts across the state. So way to go, Lucia Mar. And we are now very pleased that the money has arrived, and we are eager to get started. So we're happy to take any questions that you might have, and glad to celebrate with you on this.
Does anyone from the board have? Ms. Pham?
Can you give me an example of, where the money went to, or what we're doing with the money?
Well, one example that we can confidently say in this moment that hasn't happened yet, but we're planning to do for the Agriculture and Natural Resources program at AGHS, they really need a new pig barn. And so what we wrote about was to try to get a new pig barn built for those pigs. I have learned more about pigs and FFA than I knew before. Some people that I work with probably know a lot more about those things than I do. And those pigs need a nice, safe, warm place to be as students are raising them for their fair projects. So that one we know confidently is going to go towards the pig barn. Some of these others we're specifically looking at, for example, in patient care, exactly what type of new tools will be state of the art, best suited to what students are learning in college and career, and really sort of narrowing in on those to make sure that we buy the right thing. But we can say right now the ag money is going to a pig barn. So that'll be great, and we'll be glad to celebrate with you when that is built.
Oink, oink.
Oink, oink, yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes, in honor of Mr. Weimers, we could name it the Weimer's Pig Farm.
That's a great idea. We could bring that before the renaming committee, perhaps.
Right. Does anyone else have questions? Mr. Fuller?
Yeah, does there seem to be a correlation to how aggressive we pursue these and or with what expertise we pursue these grants?
That's an interesting question. We've had really in our area, which is typically writing grants in career technical education, as long as we have identified a grant that fits our needs, like the GSPP grants have done, and we carefully follow the instructions, which are typically pretty clear. We've had very good luck in achieving our aims. I can't speak to areas outside of sort of the curriculum area, which is mine specifically, but we are constantly looking for opportunities that make good sense for us. And if we're careful and thorough, then we've typically seen a really good result. So we're very glad to have this one here finally. We expected much earlier in the school year.
Right. I don't know if that was partially a reflection of a wonderful grant writer or, we need to keep pushing that.
Knowing the subject.
It's absolutely a reflection on Ms. Anderson's expertise, but also I think finding the right match for the district. There's a variety of opportunities in all sorts of areas to write grants, and sometimes they're the right thing for us to go after, sometimes they're not. This one is a really good example of great grant writing, great opportunity, and then really fitting a need that we had, which was to make some.
I just want to chime in there just for 1 second too. So Kristen Anderson does a phenomenal job seeking out grants that fit our district. We're declining in enrollment, right? So we have to choose each and every one of our programs very carefully to make sure that we have enough students to go into them. And she's very thoughtful about that. And she does go and seek things quickly and efficiently, which allows the CMR to get other funds that other districts, neighboring districts, don't actually get. So kudos to Kristen Anderson for all of her hard work and making sure that we get the funds we need. So
I've always thought that having someone who writes a grant who knows the program, knows the nuts and bolts, compared to just having a grant writer who does all sorts of other things. If you know your content and you know what you're talking about and you can use specifics, it's easier to follow those directions, create a narrative that someone else can follow, and possibly succeed. So,
thank you. Great job, amazing. In regards to, will we be seeing any grants down the line in regards to hospitality in supporting like our area of need?
Great question. Right now, with our new hospitality that we have, our new hospitality culinary center, thank you. And we just recently got that. That was a big grant. It was a matching $5.3 million, I believe, for the hospitality center. So right now, I haven't gone after any per se, but that doesn't mean if the opportunity doesn't come towards me, I'm always looking.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say one thing that Ms. Dixon didn't add, that with the pig barn, we are going to do it in an eco-friendly way. So that was part of the grant. So we're going to be using some green initiatives as well.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Question? I would just like to make a comment that back in the day when it was called the ROP program and Mr. Weimers was in charge of it, we used to go to the other schools, say Shandon, Paso Robles, Templeton, Tascadero, all of those. And Mr. Weimers raised pigs for the kids in their FFA program. So that's why I brought up the idea of it'd be awesome if we could name this program after Mr. Weimers, because without Mr. Weimers, we wouldn't have the ROP or CTE programs like we do today. And back then, when we started the culinary thing, Paso had the culinary thing, and I said we could outdo them. So that's how we started with the culinary. Yeah, we did. And also the hospitality thing that was also brought up. So there's a lot of history that we can go back to.
All right. Any other questions from the board regarding this item, or for Kristen or for Ms. Dixon? Seeing none, I'm going to open it up to public comment. This is a report only. It's not something we're going to be voting on, but if you'd like to make public comment, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close it. And if there's any other comments from the board, this item. Well, thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you, Ms. Dixon. We love hearing good news. Thank you and congratulations on that. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 14, approval, adoption of resolution A 2425-07, authorizing filing of applications for state allocation board administered programs for Lucia Mar Unified School District. Mr. Eichberger.
Thank you, President Martin. With the passage of Proposition 2, which was the state general obligation bond, they have changed some of the requirements that school districts will need to follow in terms of being eligible for state match money. One of those items is the state allocation board now requires that school boards memorize in a resolution their intent to apply for matching state money. Meaning, up until this point, the district has done a wonderful job to the tune of almost $30 million when we think of everything that we have received or that we're going to receive under the current state general obligation bond. What this will do is it will allow us to have access to Proposition 2 money to the tune of, just in projects that are already under construction, approximately $11 million in state match, $3.5 million just in the Paulding Middle School project that is still currently in DSA.
Questions? So, Mr. Eichberg, this means that our $143 million Measure H bond, we actually can stretch and make it grow to at least another 11 million on top of that.
Yes, there are spending requirements for the state match money. One of the things that I would like to also add is that Executive Director Stenson has shared, looking at the amount of money available under Proposition 2, it is like any other program. There is only so much in terms of finite resources. So it is really being thoughtful once again, as we did with Measure I, which projects will net the most state match money and which are tied to the greatest need as of right now. So one of the things that we will continue to do is look at the prioritization of our next phase of projects and how we can leverage the most possible from Measure H to get, again, those augmentation dollars. As we think about cost escalation for construction and some of those unknown costs, DSA changing rules and us having to fix things in plan sets and so forth, that extra state money not only allows us to cover those new costs that we didn't anticipate, but then also augment with other projects, of which the next project I believe I'll be talking about a little bit as well.
So I have a question for you. This Prop 2 that passed in November, which is matching money for school districts statewide, if we didn't pass Measure H, would we have matching money to be able to apply for these matches?
Only the projects that were being finished out, meaning this $11 million is only that first batch of projects that are already in motion, meaning we have a little over, slightly over a year to get more projects into DSA based on the next round of now Measure H projects that would qualify for this amount of money. The analogy that Executive Director Stenson used is that holding pattern in the air, right? You want to be able to land, but until you're told you can land, you keep flying. Ultimately, this $11 million was in that holding pattern, meaning it was unfunded money that we have already planned on spending. This, with Proposition 2, will now fund all of those projects that were in that holding pattern and also allow us to apply for more projects with Measure H money.
Nice. Does anyone else have questions of Mr. Eichberger on this item number 14?
So to
Ms. Pham,
to better understand, if we didn't pass H, we couldn't really get any match because we're not spending the money, is what?
Right.
Only the projects that were already on the unfunded list.
For Measure I.
But if we're done with, let's say, Measure I, and we didn't have H, we wouldn't be able to get any matching because we're not spending any money because we didn't get H on
Only money that we would be spending out of our general fund
Okay.
or developer fees. So there would be some other projects, however, not on the scale of the need that we have.
Got it.
Yeah, we don't have $11 million sitting around. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Would anyone in the audience like to make public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to public comment, bring it back to the board for comments. Anyone on the board have comments? Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Yes, please.
Move approval of adoption of Resolution A 2425-07, authorizing filing of applications for the State Allocation Board of Administrative Programs for the CMR Unified School District.
I second.
It's been moved by Santos, seconded by Naomi Bernier. Roll call vote, please.
Santos? Yes.
Naomi Bernier?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes.
Kendall?
Yes.
Palm?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Okay, we're moving on to items scheduled for discussion, possible action. Item number 15, approval, RRM Design Group proposal for architectural design services for the lower restrooms at Paulding Middle School, project number 0603, Bond Fund 21. Mr. Eichberger.
So thinking about those state match monies and augmenting what was available under Measure I, which is that Bond Fund 21, Paulding Middle School has its PE area, or the predominant grass area that's used by students for physical education and other extracurricular activities, is down on the lower field, meaning there are no student restrooms other than the porta potties that we have used for a number of years. We can do better than that. Ultimately, this item is to have two restrooms down built with ADA compliant parking, meaning one of the prohibiting factors for this project up until very recently was needing a path of travel. Anytime we are going to improve a facility, there are Division of State Architect back checks, meaning what is the path of travel? Does it meet the fire, life, and safety requirements? Does it meet structural requirements? When we think about the main area of campus, you cross the 227 to get to those sports fields. So Executive Director Stenson worked with the DSA to get them to approve that new restroom facility by providing ADA accessible parking spots instead of the full path of travel that we know would be nearly impossible given that one of the state highways bisects the path of travel. This project does allow for not only a couple adjacent to the bus barn ADA accessible parking spots, but it will also allow us to have restroom facilities besides porta potties for our kiddos down on those grass fields that are used pretty much all day long.
And there are single-use gender-neutral restrooms?
I don't have that information in front of me.
I think they are. I think I've talked to them about it. It's not like we have 6 girl toilets.
No, they are going to be similar to what you would experience at the park, where there's 2 locked single occupancy bathrooms, and there will be 1 small storage facility for the custodian.
Anyone have questions on this item? We're just in the design phase since we're approving the design for it.
I do.
Mr. Fuller.
Yeah. The parking, ADA parking, is that very extensive, or is the asphalt already there for that, and we're just going to designate as parking, or are we going to pave a whole new area?
It will actually be a small carve out of an area that's currently all grass, and that is because of its relation to, I believe it's Stanley Avenue, that is bisecting where the basketball courts are and the bus barn. The track is on the southeast side of the street, so the parking spots would be right next to where the restrooms are, up against the fence of the bus barn. Based on the site's ability to monitor students during both PE and lunch, the location of and orientation of the directions of the restrooms was in consultation with the site administration and the PE department.
Always a good idea.
And I would say, I mean, my kids have been there. I've been down that area a lot. It's certainly needed. I get that. And the other comment I would make, I'm having to learn a lot of this. It's difficult for me. By profession, I'm a financial planner, but I've built a lot in my life. And when I look at the cost to build a little square box with 2 toilets and 2 sinks and a little storage, and wow, that's like 3 times what it cost me to build it. So I'm not saying it's Lucy Moore's fault. It's not, but it's just something I want to comment on. That if I can do anything to find ways to somehow save some money and make these things cost what it would cost me to do it, I'm always going to be looking and trying to find ways. And I realize I got to go quite beyond the CMR to try to accomplish that. But it's needed. I get it. It's very needed.
One of the challenges that as a school district we have is prevailing wage and the requirements for the skilled workforce. That's one component. And then you also have the Division of State Architecture. I don't want to call it over engineering, because when we think about earthquakes and student safety, there are rules where we as a school district build our schools to be just as safe as a fire department or a hospital. And that's because we're taking care of people's number one prize, their kids. And that it ultimately increases the cost of some projects just based on those 2 factors alone.
Right.
Any other questions for Mr. Eichberger on this item?
Thank you. So, in regards to high costs, so DSA approved is state approval, correct? So is it because it's a state approval item in regards to the high cost?
The parking as part of the overall project is required as part of any of our projects if it is changing the size of the site beyond a certain percentage. With a restroom, adding restrooms, it automatically is going to trigger that what's called a DSA back check. We are actually very fortunate that they are going to let us just do parking spots and not actually the full path of travel up to the main entrance to the campus.
The answer to that is yes. The state requires schools that have a different construction standard than what your own personal property or home would be. And it also requires a different standard when it comes to labor you hire, which is all more expensive.
All right. Seeing no more questions from the board, I'm going to open it up to public comment on this item. Item number 15, approval RRM Design Group proposal for architectural design services for the lower restrooms at Paulding. Anyone like to comment? Seeing none, we're going to bring it back to the board for comment and motion. I'd just like to say that years ago when we had the women's soccer league, we sure could have used those. I'm sure that restrooms at Paulding will make a lot of people very happy, even on Saturdays. Yes. You want a motion? Yeah, sure. Okay. Move approval of the board for the proposal for RM Design Group for architectural services at Paulding Middle School as a part of the lower restrooms project number 0603.
I second.
It's been moved by Santos, second by Trustee Naomi Bernier. Roll call vote, please.
Santos?
Yes.
Naomi Bernier?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes.
Kendall?
Yes.
Palm?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Moving on, item number 16, approval professional service work order with Finney Architects for architectural design services for the Dana expansion project at Dana Elementary School. Project number is 0606, Bond Fund 21. Mr. Eichberg.
Thank you, President Martin. As we consider expansion in our district, we have experienced additional growth in our Napomo area to the fact that there are 4 special projects that have been approved by the County Planning Commission and an additional 2 that are pending that all reside within Dana Elementary's boundaries, meaning making sure we are in front of that potential growth given the timelines it takes to submit our projects to the Division of State Architect have them approved and start building, there is a lag time. What this does is it allows us to create a project that will create 2 new dedicated special education classrooms and 4 traditional standard classrooms, 2 smaller intervention meeting rooms, and a new playground with port-in-place ADA compliant surface, as well as 2 single occupant staff restrooms. The idea behind the 2 new special education classrooms is currently room 1 and 2 are being used as special education classrooms instead of transitional kindergarten classrooms. The idea would be to build 2 new classrooms that have the embedded restroom and that are very similar as it relates to a transitional kindergarten or kindergarten classroom, but also have some of the other internal needs that support a special needs classroom. Ultimately, the idea is we would get into DSA sooner than later with the hope of starting construction in the spring of 2026 with occupancy for the 27-28 school year, meaning there are planned developments that are being built. We know they've been approved, and it's going to impact predominantly Dana Elementary. However, we are continuing to look at all of the Nipomo area's growth and how we need to make potential modifications to our school sites. So it is recommended that the staff approve a contract with Finney Architect to start the architectural engineering designs of the 2 new classroom wings at Dana Elementary.
And Mr. Architect, where are those going to be?
The classrooms?
Yeah.
The tentative orientation is on the southern part of the campus that is currently sand and grass area, meaning pushing back 2 additional wings on the side by the CHC, so opposite of where the library is, and then build the new playground in that area. Because it will also take up part of the asphalt, there is a portion of the plans, again, totally in design phase, that would also extend a portion of the asphalt. However, one of the things as part of any of the architectural plans is they will actually meet with the site, make sure that it meets the needs, and then also considers things like, future paths of travel and potential parking issues and so forth. So it's a very preliminary estimate, but that is where we think currently it would be best suited to go.
Question. Thank you. So there's 2 containers to the left. If I'm looking at Dana to the left, is that so? Is that
that is the area?
So will we move those containers or replace those old containers at some point?
I would have to work with the school site to see exactly what's in those containers.
I understand that maintenance uses those, so might be helpful.
Any other questions from board members on this? Mr. Fuller.
Yeah, and again, in light of how costly some of this work is, do you feel pretty confident in the scope of the work, that we covered our bases pretty well on what's going to be needed? Because I see on the additional services, if it goes above and beyond it, then they start billing at 1.1 times their normal rate. So I'm presuming you guys probably covered your bases well, but that's still my question. Are you pretty confident we've?
That is something I would have to speak directly with Executive Director Stenson on in terms of the scope of this project. What I would say is we are examining the overall growth in Nipomo, meaning there could also be additional growth at Nipomo Elementary and Dorothea Lange Elementary, dependent upon how these additional developments occur. Meaning, as of right now, we feel that given the footprint of the site, this is our best next round of development, and then we would look at the overall impact of the other sites before we say, okay, now we, for instance, know that Dorothea Lange is currently having a 2-classroom TKK wing being built. What would that next step potentially look like for Nipomo Elementary as we attempt to balance that enrollment growth?
But at this site and on this project, though, it's what they're commenting on. I think that they would ask for reimbursement at 1.1 times actual cost. We're pretty confident that this project is covered here. I mean, obviously, like you said, Mr. Stinson would have to.
This is just for architectural. I mean,
Right, but if our architectural work went beyond what we put in the scope of work, then they'd start charging 10% higher, even on their hourly. At the bottom of
coming
page.
back to us. I just can't imagine this.
It's a good point. And so what I will say, and I haven't spoken to Mr. Stinson directly on this, he's a phenomenal executive director, and he's been very cost conscious throughout the entire Measure I bond series. In fact, we've decided to conduct all the work in-house rather than hire an outside architect firm to manage the whole entire project. And so our bond team is well seasoned and knows the scope of projects and is constantly keeping tabs on it, and you can project out really well with a high level of accuracy. And so I suspect this is no different in this case, but Mr. Eichberger and I are happy to go back and double check with that and then provide you with an update.
Right, because we're only approving to the amount that's on our agenda item too.
Right.
And it doesn't mean there won't be anything that's unanticipated, but we work really hard to prevent that from happening. Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone in the audience like to make comment on item number 16? Seeing no movement, I'm going to close it to the audience, bring it back to the board for comment. I'm happy to accept a motion.
I'll move approval of a professional service work order with Finney Architects for architectural design services for the Dana expansion project at Dana Elementary School, project number 0606, Bond Fund 21.
I second. It's been moved by Kendall, second by Naomi Bernier. Roll call vote, please.
Kendall?
Yes.
Naomi Bernier?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes.
Santos?
Yes.
Baum?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Item number 17, discussion action initial proposal for collective bargaining from the CMR Unified School District to the California School Employees Association, CSEA, and its Chapter 275 for the 2003 through 2006 reopener negotiations. Dr. Handy.
Thank you, President Martin. Government Code 3540, commonly known as the RADA Act, or EERA, governs employer-employee relations for California public school employees. Section 3547 specifically states meeting and negotiating shall not take place until after the proposals have been presented to our public. The Sunshine Clause of the RADA Act requires that each party's initial bargaining proposal, the topics that will be negotiated, be presented for public comment at a publicized school board meeting prior to the beginning of the negotiation process. And the public must be given a reasonable time to consider the proposal, comment publicly, and then comments are considered at a subsequent meeting of the governing board. The 23-26 collective bargaining agreement, which you approved last meeting, essentially gave us a bit of a first part of that sunshine, if you will. It was adopted by the governing board in December, and as part of that agreement, it outlined that in Article 19 duration, the parties agreed to reopen Article 5 wages, Article 11 health and welfare benefits, and Article 6 career ladders. So it was agreed upon through the bargaining process what we would be negotiating in the reopener for 24-25 in the 23-26 negotiation agreement. So this meeting of the governing board on January 21 serves as the public's opportunity to comment on the district's initial proposal, which is essentially what we already agreed to. So the CMR Unified School District presents the accompanying initial proposal, which is attached to this memo for 23-26 reopener negotiations with the California School Employees Association and its chapter number 275. Board approval is requested to adopt the initial proposal for contract reopeners, and I am at the leisure of the board if you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Handy on this item? Well, I do. I'm wondering where CSEA's proposal is. Typically, you guys come to us tandem together, and especially if it's in a successor agreement. I'm guessing we've already agreed to the items. So
What's going on?
Yeah, it's my understanding that CSEA wanted to give their membership an opportunity to speak directly to these specific articles before sunshining. In conversation with President Wood and their negotiation chair, Mr. Ryan, is here. We're very hopeful that they will be sunshining at our next board meeting.
Yes, I do too, because I want to get their people paid on time. Okay, with everyone else. So, anyone else have any questions? Seeing none, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Would anyone in the audience like to comment on this item?
Good evening. Chris Ryan, I'm the negotiations chair for the Classified 275 negotiations team. And I can tell you the reason why we don't have a sunshine to present is our first chapter meeting of the year since December happens tomorrow afternoon. So we will be discussing and possibly taking action on that tomorrow. So, yeah.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else like to make public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for comment and motion. I need approval on this item.
I'll move approval. Just initial proposal for collective bargaining from the LaCMR Unified School District to the California School Employees Association, CSEA, and it's chapter number 275 for 2023 through 2026 reopener negotiation.
I second. It's been motioned by Kendall, second by Naomi Renier. Roll call vote, please.
Kendall?
Yes.
Naomi Bernier?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes.
Santos?
Yes.
Baum?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes, motion passes 6-0. All righty, item number 18, first reading, revision of board policies, bylaws, exhibits, and administrative regulations. Dr. Fawcett.
Thank you, President Martin. We're starting back up with our regular cycle of board policies, administrative regulations, exhibits, and bylaws, updating those. This first go around is the first reading only. I'm not asking for any action on these, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity to review them. The ones before you tonight are related to absences and excuses, general obligation bonds, public statements, board member electronic communications, governing board elections, filling vacancies on the board, and closed sessions at board meetings. Each one of these items has been reviewed by staff. In the case of the general obligation bonds, our bond counsel has reviewed those, and these are all recommendations from CSBA's team of attorneys.
Any questions for Dr. Fawcett on these items? I had just one request, and that was actually to involve Ms. Lujano in this. There is a section on closed session. There's a section on board member elections and stuff. I just want to make sure that the updates that we're receiving here are sync with our governance handbook, that they both are updated to be under the California Ed Code at the same time. So if you could do that, check for us, Ms. Lujano, that would be awesome. It was a lot to plow through. I went through all the bond language because we're just past the bond. We're going into a new one. Want to make sure we're doing everything right. So someday we will be certifying our election and putting it in the minutes, but not tonight.
That's correct.
Yeah. Anyone else have questions for Dr. Fawcett on this item?
Just to be clear, too, there's no official timeline of how soon after an election that the board has to certify it. So we have plenty of time. We're not in a rush to take that first issuance. So.
Right. Okay. Anyone? I'm going to open it up to the audience. Would anyone in the audience like to make public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to public comment, bring it back to the board for comments. We're not voting on this. This is a first reading.
I went through those with tooth and nail, so I'm taking them out of my notebook so you can put my marked up ones back in my notebook for our next meeting, okay? Because I don't want to have to highlight the rest of the work again, okay? Anyone else have any comments on this item? Item number 19, the new policies for the school board. They're just updated policies, not new policies, just updated. Okay.
Can I say something real quick before you close it out? Just thank you to the board for taking the time to digest these and read these and take them serious. We had a lot of reading this go around, especially with the SARCs too. So it's a big commitment and a huge time commitment as a trustee. So thank you all.
That's why they gave us a 3-day weekend.
That's right.
All right, we're going to move on to item number 19, action, student expulsion, student discipline case number 2425-19.
I would like to move agreement and stipulation for immediate expulsion and suspension of expulsion. The Board of Education finds there is cause to expel from all schools in the district student case number 24-25-19 for violation of Education Code section 48900A1 and 48900A2 and 48900B and 48915A1B. It is further moved that the board adopt the recitals, agreements, rehabilitation plans, and readmission review dates as set forth in the December 17th of 2024 agreement and stipulation for immediate expulsion with suspended enforcement.
Second. It's been moved by Kendall, second by Santos. Roll call vote, please.
Kendall?
Yes.
Santos? Palm?
Yes.
Naomi Vernier?
No.
Fuller?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes. Motion passes 5-1. Okay, now we've come to the time in our agenda for public comment on items not on our agenda. If anyone from the audience would like to speak to us about something under our purview that's not on our agenda, please come forward or turn in a public speaker card. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Anyone? Gone? Okay, we're going to close public comment to items not on the agenda. And Mr. Stewart, who is absent tonight, is going to be amazed when I told him we're closing out the meeting before 8:25. Well done. Thank you for making motions and seconds and keeping the business of the district moving. We will see you all again in February 11th. Thank you so much for being here tonight.